Hey team, Blake here. Today I'm going to talk to you about, but where's my profit? Maybe you've experienced where you're paying your team, and then at the end of the month, you're like, but where's the money left for me? Where's my profit? Or maybe you see this money coming in the business, even if you're a sole practitioner, you see it coming in, and at the end of the month, you're confused because you go, but where's my profit? Um, and that's what we're going to talk about is the actual cash, the actual profit, what's left. As always, I'm going to make some notes as we go. Because look, in business, it's not about how much you make, it's about how much you keep. Turnover is for vanity, profit is for sanity. And we're going to make sure that the business, we do all this work, all these moving bits, a team, rent, all this stuff. There's got to be money left at the end, not just because we want to go on holiday, but also because if we want to have a stable business and we want to provide people with job security and we want to, stand the test of time, we've got to actually have a margin in our practice. We're going to have enough money. We can actually put some away. We can use to invest in the future or for rainy days, knowing that we can pay wages. We're good. But I came across a picture of you as drawn by your team members, because this is what, when we look at the finances of a practice, there's a big difference to you looking at the end of the year at that profit and loss statement, that one pager, and we go, oh, the profit and loss is here for the year. And at the top says the turnover. We go, oh, look how much money we turned over in the year. Then you look at everything that went out, and then there's this sort of small profit number, and we go, oh, but where is it? Where is this profit? Because this profit on a piece of paper, it's an idea. Unless there's actual cash sitting in the bank, then it means that money has gone somewhere. But often, team members will think that, well, here's my opinion, and we've got a funny story behind this. This is what they think, that, and this goes for a lot of business owners. There's a lot of hatred towards business owners because everybody thinks that business owners are just like Elon Musk or Richard Branson. They're just all really, really rich. And the only way they made their money was through deceit, deception. They stole, they thieved, they broke the law. There's a very, I don't believe it at all. When you run a business, how, the challenges and the 5 sets of tax you end up paying. Well, 4 in healthcare because there's no VAT for you guys, but they think that you spend 50% of your time like Scrooge McDuck from DuckTales, swimming in and around your riches, or like Blofeld from Bond, like the evil villain, just with billions and lasers and a long-haired white cat swiveling in your office chair. And I remember it's a good few years ago, and this is when Optimize Health was at like turnover about 1.8 million. Bearing in mind, you remember years before it was at 250,000, and so we're talking 1.8 million Aussie dollars, just over about £1 million a year turnover. And so there's a team, and Troy's going through his team. He did an entire team alignment day. It's like, take my culture seriously. There was team building, there was education, and he was teaching them about the numbers that run the practice. And I'm going to share that with you in a little bit. I'm going to give you something to aim for and help you understand where money should go. And spent a whole day sort of helping people understand the numbers, because he didn't want everybody to think this. Because people go, oh, look how many people come through the front door. Look how much money they have to spend. Oh, like Troy's must be spending his time swimming in gold coins or stroking a long-haired white cat. So he did all this work of showing people where money went, so they got a greater understanding, a depth of understanding for the practice. Spent the whole day doing this. And at the end of the day, it was, okay, guys, so let's go around the room. What's one thing you got from today? What's your biggest takeaway? And the first dude said, my biggest takeaway, I can't believe Troy makes $1.8 million. It's like, no, that's the turnover. That's the money that comes in the top. That's not what we get to keep. So firstly, I'm going to show you where that money goes, but I'm also going to show you what you need to aim for, because for those of you who run a business, you understand that it ain't that easy. There's endless places that money can go. So we've got to actually get very good at understanding where that money goes and managing where that money goes. So a piece of context that we first got to understand, but that we can also ultimately share with our team. And I've done this with a room of practice owners with their teams. There's about 70 of us, and actually took them through a long exercise of going, okay, so for every 100 euros, pounds, dollars that comes in the top of the business, that goes into the till, how much do we keep? How much do we actually get to keep? Now, a lot of people go, oh, well, you probably get to keep most of it, right? Well, look, firstly, if we've got an associate and we pay 50%, that's that gone. But then the associate probably goes, yeah, but I'm doing all the bloody work. And the practice owner's keeping half of it. I mean, I'd be better off setting up by myself. Whereas the business owner goes, now I've got to pay all of the cost, all of the bills, everything. I've got admin support, insurances, blah, blah, blah. Oh my God, this person's got the one that's lucky. So first, look, we just got to understand where the actual money goes, because it's not what we make, it's what we keep. That's the first learning there. Turnover is for vanity. Profit is for sanity. I don't know who that quote was from. Pretty tried and tested. So let's look at what we're aiming for. So this is the practice percentage pyramid, right? So for every £100, dollars, whatever it comes into the business, where does it then go? Now, just a warning, this is a benchmark. Okay, this is, so practice percentage pyramid. This is just an outline. It's a guideline. Different phases of a practice, the numbers are different. If there's a startup practice and you've only got one person working with you, probably your rent's going to be high, your costs are going to be high. You're not making the turnover you can. So sometimes we have a model that we need to grow into. But this is just a basic idea, right? For every £100 that comes into the business, dollars, euros, whatever it might be, what do we actually get to keep, and where should that money be going? So these are guidelines that we worked on over several years, worked with thousands of practices, obviously including our own. So firstly, 40% goes to the team, meaning the revenue generators in the team, because we've got support team, we've also got the practitioners. And in the past, I say it's just a very difficult model to run for many different reasons that aren't just financial, but the associate model where they're not working with you, so they're not adding value to the business, meaning they're not on payroll. If you were to ever sell your business, you couldn't sell a business in the same way, same value if somebody's an associate. They effectively are contractors. And they're probably working elsewhere, probably working for competitors other days of the week. But look, if you're going to give 50% of everything that goes away already, that comes into the business already, the numbers are really hard to hit. So we say, look, we aim for a maximum of 40%, including pension and national insurance, all associated costs can go back out to practitioner salaries. Because then we've got, let's skip up to support salaries. We've got to have somebody answering the phone. We've got to have somebody on reception helping, doing admin. And those are non-revenue generating salaries. So we want them to aim at around 13%. We don't really want them to get too high. Rent should be about 7% of the turnover. But again, when you're optimizing your practice and you've got to that stage where you've got a full team and a full caseload, this number's gonna drop, isn't it? And if in the early days it's higher, it's okay. These are just benchmarks, but most people never really take the time to fully understand this and go, okay, I can understand what I'm aiming for. Many people give away 50% or more to practitioners, and then their costs are quite high, so they can still afford it all, but at the end, there's no profit, like zero. Everything that comes in then goes out. And so we have no profit. We've got to aim for a 20% net profit. We've got to aim for that. Whatever comes in after we've paid everything, that we've got 20% left. Because let's remember, just having 20% left doesn't mean for every £100, we've got £20 left. Net profit doesn't include the money we're going to put away. It doesn't include what we then have to pay for taxes. And it doesn't then include there's like corporation tax or loan repayments. And it certainly doesn't include what income tax we would have to pay if we wanted to take any of this money out as well. So look, in short, for every £100 that comes in, actual cash left that you can buy me a beer with is about 6%. You know, that's, so if you decide, oh, I'm going to go and buy a bit of kit, if that kit costs you £60, it means that your business actually has to generate £1,000 of turnover to be left with the £60 to be able to afford your bit of kit. Did this in Optimized Health. Troy worked out that the fresh flowers that were there, twice a month, I think I've got this right, and I think it was about $100 on flowers. And what they worked out is not like how much it costs, $100. No, how much money needs to come into the business to leave us with $100. And I think it was, I'll do the maths for you in a minute, but it was like $1,500 is what you've got to turn over to be left with cash. So when we understand that and flip it on its head, we start becoming much, much more sensible, much more aware of where we're actually spending money. Somebody goes, oh, I bought a laser, it's 10,000. Well, okay, yeah. And maybe that was a great decision. However, you got to understand that you had to turn over well over £100,000, euros, whatever, to be left with enough money to buy the laser, So remember, in here, we've got 20% other costs, consumables, insurances, your bills, your web hosting. Just there's a million little things that go in here. Then we've got support salaries, then we've got rent. This is the real basics of it. So when we start understanding this, we get much pickier as to where we're spending our money, because the goal, we've got to be left with something. Now, I'm going to show you some margin mastery in a second. However, like, one of the biggest keys is this. There's just some basic maths to this, that if you are not charging enough, there is no possible way you can possibly ever make profit. It's really as simple as that. If you're charging, £30 for an appointment, whatever it might be, if you're just charging too low, and then you've got to pay somebody, you've got to pay your rent, you've got to pay somebody to treat, and then you've got to pay all your other stuff, the likelihood is you're going to end up with nothing. I've actually looked inside businesses where they were running at a loss, or I call it running a charity, where basically we charge so little, and I still have to pay salaries and I still have to pay stuff. But the way I managed to afford to charge so little is I treat myself and I work like a dog, bring in enough money to be able to fund this other half of the business. So we've got to get our pricing right. We've got to understand how pricing is actually not an emotional thing. I know people treat it like an emotional thing. How, the NHS is free, so how can we possibly charge? The NHS is not free. It's very, very, very expensive. The government invests over £2,000 per person per year to run the NHS. It costs £500,000 to build a hospital bed in the UK. The NHS is very, very, very expensive. Totally worth it. It's awesome. It's just that when you work in it, you don't see money changing hands, but that does not mean the money is not changing hands. So we've got to get over that and start charging our worth in private practice. Yeah, and look, we've got to get our pricing right. I've worked with businesses that make twice the profit of companies that serve twice as many patients. Does that make sense? So I work with a business that serves 750 patients a month, but because they charge so little and they pay their team well, there's really not much left. So you can build a business that serves 750 patients a month and still be left with very little. So you've got to get your pricing right. Now, here is the key. Okay, pricing will help us make sure that we're bringing in enough money, the turnover, the revenue, right? You know, we need to see a certain amount of patients, and if we're seeing 100 patients at £30, we're going to make 3 grand. It's not much. 100 patients at £50, 5 grand, right? So suddenly we can see, okay, we've got to be charging enough, but then we've got to make sure that we hold on to some of the money, and it doesn't just all disappear out of the business. So here's your task for margin mastery. It's super simple, but most people don't do it. But this can save you billions. Right. There's 2 questions we ask. Oh, where have I? Come on. Can I find it? Here we go. The 2Q margin exercise. You're going to go down. You're going to open your accounting software, run your profit and loss, or if you want it done in a simple way, if you've got the mobile app on your phone of your business bank account, and you're going to look into your business bank account and you're going to go, where's my money going? Where's it actually going? And for every single line item that you see on the app or in your profit and loss, you're going to ask 2 questions. Do I need this? Or can I get a better deal? Now, interesting, as a practice, do this first for your personal life. Sit there with a cup of tea, open your personal app of your banking and go, where's my money actually going? Because once you have looked at all of these things, you'd be shocked as to how much money is actually going out before you've even woken up. So before we start worrying about making loads more turnover in the practice, let's make sure we fix the leaky holes in our bucket and we're not just getting disappearing money. Money is not disappearing. And even still, like, take the pressure off yourself personally by making sure you're not wasting money in your personal life. Can you renegotiate your loan? Can you renegotiate your morning? Do you really need the 3 Starbucks per day? Do you really need this and this? You know, what do you actually need? What can we get rid of? Do you need the several subscriptions? There was a time where I realized I was on the Deliveroo Prime thing. I don't really need that. Netflix, Now TV, Spotify, didn't use it. And suddenly I'm £200 a month down before I've even started. And it's silly because my business needs to turn over a lot of money to go through the machine to be left with £200. I'd be better off just saving the £200, right? So do I need this? Can I get a better deal? Let's do that and go back here. 2Q margin exercise. We do this every 3 to 6 months. We put it on the planner that we give people. Just check margins. Do I need this? Can I get a better deal here? I'll show you on the planner that we have printed each year. Can you see that? Maybe. Yeah, this one. Do I need this? Can I get a better deal? There we go. So there's the broad strokes of, but where's my profit? We've got to understand it's not about what we make, it's what we keep. So firstly, we've got to get really, really clear on where that money is actually going. And then when we work out where that money is going, we've got to ask ourselves these 2 questions. Do I need this? And can I get a better deal? And remember, pricing is the key when it goes, am I charging enough? And the answer to that, for most people, is normally no. It's normally no. And you just can't build a stable practice with cash in the bank that can afford to reinvest in kit and training, to be able to pay people well, to have a cash float, knowing that whatever happens in the economy, in the world, you're good for a while, providing that security for yourself, for your family, for your team and their families. You can't do that if you're charging pennies. You can't do that if you're running a charity. You know, put the emotional thing of what to charge for healthcare aside. There is a financial necessity. There is a financial equation that governs the, you know, how much money is actually left. We have to charge enough so that after we've paid practitioners, all our other costs, our support salaries and our rent and the tax and the loans and all this sort of stuff, there's actually some money left. So we can go, there's my profit. And that's the goal. Hope that helps, guys. I shall see you next time.